Hello students, welcome to StudyIQ. In this session, we are going to talk about Karl Marx. Okay, so we have already started off with thinkers and I've given you a brief introduction of all the thinkers in the previous session. We talked about all the 6 thinkers. We have discussed about the socio-political conditions or the context in which all these thinkers were writing. Okay, and then we have also talked about various perspectives used by different thinkers, and in that I have told you Marx was using a conflict perspective, Durkheim was using a functionalist perspective, when it comes to Weber, interpretive perspective, and when it comes to Mead, symbolic interactionism, and Parson and Merton was also using functionalism. And we have also discussed about different methods, and I've told you when it comes to the thinkers we will explain in detail. Okay, so we have seen the subject matter. Although some of these thinkers like Durkheim, Marx, Weber, etc., even though they were writing in the same context, but still the approach towards understanding society was different because of the use of different perspectives, different methods, and in terms of subject matter also. For example, subject matter according to Durkheim is study of external reality and social facts, whereas for Weber it is about internal reality, and understanding the meanings is important. Understanding the meanings attached by the actor to his action is very important, and for him the subject matter is the study of social action. Okay, so we will be discussing about all those things in the coming session. I'll be taking around 15-16 sessions for the entire thinkers. So here we will start with Marx. Okay, now everything we will discuss related to Marx. When we start with Marx today, I'm not starting any theories formally. See, we will start with all the theories from next session onwards. Here we will try to understand his conception about society and change and individual. So his conception about society is important, his conception about individual is important. For any theory, this is connected. So if you need to write any theory, this should be your introduction, his idea about society and individual. So this is going to give you a lot of information related to Marxian idea of society and individual, and this in itself can asked as a separate question. Marx concept of society and individual, or Marxian idea of society and individual, all these are separate question. It can be asked as a separate question. It was asked many times repeatedly, and it will be your introduction in any question which is coming from Marx, whether it is theory of historical materialism or mode of production or alienation or class struggle. Without writing this, you cannot start that theories. Okay, so it's all based on his idea about society and individual. So this should be your introduction. For example, again, the way we are going to discuss each thinkers is like this. First, I'll give you the brief introduction about each thinker. So here I am talking about Marx. I'll give you that introduction part. So we will try to understand his idea about society and individual. Exactly the same is what we are going to do with Durkheim, Weber, etc. Same pattern. And then we will discuss each theory. For example, once we're done with this introduction part, this introduction will be common to all the theories, because what is the assumption? In one question paper, you won't get 2 theories from the same thinker. Maybe thinkers, 3-4 theories could be asked, but you won't get 2 from the same thinker. Okay, so from Marx you won't get 2, so you can use the common introduction, right? So you can prepare a common introduction for any theory, whether it is alienation or historical materialism or class struggle. So introduction we have prepared, and then historical materialism theory we will do separately, then which also covers mode of production, and then we will talk about alienation, then we will talk about class struggle. So theories we are doing separately, in detail we will see. So what you need to know is introduction. This discussion is about the introduction part. So from this discussion you need to pick the introduction for any question which is asked. Okay, now if it is a critically analyzed question, I've already given you the way in which you need to write the answer. You know the skeleton. Okay, you need to follow this formula CCR after writing introduction and the main theory. Okay, so let's suppose the question is about critically analyze historical materialism, Marx theory of historical materialism. So what you will do is, first you will write introduction, then you will write what is the theory of historical materialism. You will write in detail about this. So in introduction you will talk about Marx idea about society and individual, then you talk about historical materialism, then you follow this formula. We have discussed this. Contribution, first C is actually contribution. So here you will be writing Marx contribution. Okay, now here this part also will be common for all the theories. Instead of critically analyze historical materialism, if the question is about alienation, even then your introduction and contribution will remain the same. What will change? This part will change. Instead of historical materialism, you will write alienation. See, this is a kind of preparation. This is what we call as integrated preparation. This is what required, rather than preparing for separate answers and separate content for different theories. That's not required. Whatever common is there, integrate it, so that will be easy for you. So here you only need to change that theory, right? Historical materialism to, if it is alienation, you will write that. If it is class struggle, you will write that. This part remain the same, this part remain the same. Then comes the C, that is criticism. Okay, see all these things in detail, whether it is comment, discuss, critically analyze. When I take up the test series with you, when you're writing the test series with me, or when I discuss the previous year papers in YouTube, I'll try to explain. I'll explain. In fact, all these requires different style of writing. For example, now I am showing the critically analyzed answer. So similarly, a skeleton is required for all these words are very important. Which, if it is discuss, you need to write accordingly. If it is comment, you need to write accordingly. Analyze, critically analyze. All these are different terms and different structures, so the skeleton is actually expected. I'll teach you everything. You don't want to worry about that. I've promised you already, and I'll deliver that. Okay, whatever promise I've made, I'll definitely deliver that, and you will not face any problem with respect to content or with respect to the way you write. More than content, see, content wise, everybody have access to everything now. Everybody is watching all the videos, maybe my video or different videos, or attending the classes and getting the notes. Content wise, everybody having the content, but the way you present it is what is more important. And that's the reason why, more than a teacher, I would like to be a mentor. So I can see the papers, I can evaluate, I can guide you. That's what I'm looking for. Teaching is something which everybody can do, I think, right? So even without a teacher also you can learn, and most of you are ready to learn even without a teacher, and you're capable also to learn. But how to present it in the paper, and somebody has to be there to take care of what all mistakes that you have committed, and that you cannot commit in the exam. So that's why I'm always stressing on this point. What you need is a mentor, not a teacher. Even if you're not watching my videos, it's not a problem. But you need to have a mentor, and he should be or she should be evaluating your papers and should be guiding you properly, whatever mistakes you're making, and write at least 10 tests before you actually write the mains. That is the must required thing. Okay, you can leave anything, even if your preparation is minimum, it's okay, but keep on writing the test. That will improve the way you write. The way you put the points and the perspectives and everything will improve. So that's more important. The way you present thing is more important. Even though content is little less, it's okay. The way you present is more important, because everybody will have the same content. Marx theory of alienation will not change. Marx theory of historical materialism will not change. Critically analyze means everybody know the theory, everybody know the criticism. These are standard criticisms. But are you following the structure? Or are you writing in a different way compared to others? Or are you putting it in a different perspective? All these are what matters. So for that, you need writing practice, and somebody have to evaluate your paper and have to tell you what went wrong with you. And then you should not repeat it. Okay. Again, keep this point in mind, rather than attending different teachers' classes for the same topic. Attend once. Or if you're reading it is very good, you can save a lot of time in attending the classes, and you can read that, understand that, and try to write the test and show it to some better teacher who is having experience, at least writing mains and clearing mains, or teaching experience for a long time in civil service field, not like normal sociology professors. Okay, so keep this point in mind when I'm starting the thinkers. I'm telling this because this is most important point. Okay, so criticism, again, when you start, you further have to divide like this. You need to write general criticisms, and you need to write specific criticism. Okay, for example, general means what? For example, when we talk about Marx is generally criticized as a reductionist. Marx is generally criticized as having a bias towards economic aspects, giving importance to economic aspects. Marx is generally criticized as a macro sociologist, giving importance to society. Marx is generally criticized as following a conflict perspective and only identifying the dysfunction. But there are many functional elements for family, religion, education, etc. There are many functions, but Marx only trying to understand these are created by capitalists and all are dysfunctional. So this is a partial understanding of society. These are general. Any Marx question, you can write these as a criticism. Even if you don't know the specific criticism, you can still write this and you can score it. But the way you need to write, you should manage the way you write. Okay, these are general things and you will be knowing this. You will not face any problem once you know the theory. Okay, so when I'm saying something, you take it like that. It is for sure you will not make mistakes in these cases. So you will be knowing all those things once the theory is done. So these are general criticisms. Apart from that, what is required is specific criticism, that is specific to the theory which is asked. So here what is asked? Critically analyze historical materialism. So after writing the contribution and this general criticism, you will move on to specific criticism, which is what actually asked in the question. Now what all things is common now here? Introduction is common. You can write that in any theory, whether it is historical materialism or alienation or class struggle. Contribution is common, okay, and general criticism is also common. What is only different here? This theory is different. Obviously you need to know the theory, and each theory, what are the specific criticism? 1 or 2 criticism is enough, because general criticism, there are 4 5 easy criticisms you have. You will never forget that, okay? And specific, you just need to know 1 or 2 from 3 theories. Is it possible? It's a very easy task, but what students will do, they try to learn around 10-15 criticisms from all the books, and you will not be able to write anything. I wish, or I want you to know at least 2. That's enough, because you won't get enough time, you won't get enough space. And the question is not only about keep on writing criticisms, and general criticism is actually more important. In fact, even though specific is also required, general, because that is actually criticizing his approach, his perspective. Okay, that's more required. And finally, you need to conclude your answer with this R is relevance. And in fact, the relevance is also common. So we fix the introduction. For any theory it is common, and the contribution, any theory is common. Relevance, any theory it is common. General criticism, any theory it is common. So I will give you everything. Okay, so I'll talk about an introduction. This session is about introduction. Then we will do each theory separately. Okay, so you will get all the 3 theories. So this may be first session. I'll mark it and I'll tell you this is how I'm doing. So you can follow me and you can get it exactly what is required for the exam. And if you see my discussions, this is to the point, nothing less, nothing more. And you can take it for granted. You don't want to read any textbooks for thinkers after this. It's my strongest area, and you will also be very strong after you attend all the session on the thinkers. There is no point in reading anything. There is no point in attending any classes. And I don't find any lectures in YouTube or anywhere that you get information like this. In the 30 minutes, you get only content. There is nothing junk we are talking here. Okay. So introduction I'll give you. Okay. So that is first session. Then historical materialism. I'll mark it. This is first session. You can follow like this. Then this is how I am going to discuss. I don't know all the videos are uploaded or not, but this is how I am giving the content. So second, historical materialism. Third is alienation. Fourth is class struggle. So 4 videos are done. Okay. And then I'll talk about contribution. So contribution and introduction, you will write the same for all the theory. Then I'll talk about general criticism. Okay, that is also common. Then I'll talk about specific criticism. In the 6th session, I'll talk about all the criticisms together: historical materialism, alienation, and class struggle. So specifically, we will talk. That is not required too much explanation. So I can finish all the 3 theories criticism in one session. Although theory required 1 session each, but criticism is easy. I've told you at least 2 is enough. I'll give you anyway 5 at least for sure. Okay, and whatever you can remember, it's up to you. You don't want to read anything else. Don't go beyond any other textbooks or fancy materials. It's only waste of time. And then relevance. So this is going to be our 7th session. So in this 7th session, we will complete marks, and we will complete in and out of marks. You will start loving marks, and after entire perception will change. Whatever you understood till now about marks, and what will be your perception about marks in future will be definite. Now some people, you may love marks, you may hate marks, but one thing is for sure, you cannot ignore marks. Okay, see that till the time poverty and unemployment, exploitation of man by man exist, Marx is relevant. Marxian understanding is relevant. Okay, although he might have given some radical solutions and all, but Marx is always relevant. You cannot ignore Marx. Okay, so let's get into the discussion. Now Marx consider everything in terms of production. Okay, so production is essential for the survival of society. In order to survive, man must produce. Okay, so what Marx says is, in order to survive, man must produce. Production is essential for the survival of human being. Production could have been the first historical act which would have happened in the human civilization. So he's giving too much importance to production. Okay, and his conception about individual is like this. The man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. Man create needs. Okay, once the basic needs are met, he will create new needs. For example, basic needs like food, shelter, clothes, etc. Once you meet this, you start craving for the luxuries, right? Like car, TV, okay, phones, etc. Then if that is met, then again super luxuries you will go. Like that, needs are never ending. That's what you mean by dissatisfied animal. See, if you talk about some animals, if you talk about case of a dog, if that street dog is getting some food, that's enough. There is nothing more, right? So the need is met, then there is nothing more. But in case of man, that's not the case. Okay, so because of this needs which is increasing, man always try to exploit the nature. So there is a constant struggle between man and nature, and nature always impose certain restrictions over man's ambitions and requirements. So it is very difficult to produce because nature impose certain restriction. It could be rain, or it could be any, like if you need to get crude oil, how far you need to go, right? And this restriction keep on increasing. Nature try to impose this restriction. The more you use, you have to go deeper, right? So you have to go deeper. So a lot of restrictions are there, but man is always capable of overcoming this restriction through improvement in technologies. Okay, so man always keep on improve the tools, techniques, etc. The way man produce things will change over a period of time. So man will always try to improve the way you produce things to overcome the restrictions imposed by nature. So this is what nature imposed restriction, but man will always try to overcome that. Man have the capability to do that, and to do this alone you cannot do. You need to enter into relations of production. Okay, so you need to enter into some relations. So that's what Marx called us, or termed as, relations of production. First term, most important term. In order to undertake production, you need to enter into relations. Okay, for example, let's suppose this is your land and you are a farmer. Okay, so to undertake farming here, you need to go for tilling of the land. Okay, so for that you don't have any facility for that, so you have to depend on a person X. Let's say he's having a tractor. Okay, so you have to depend on this person. So to undertake production, you have to enter into relation with this person. Okay, because what is the restriction here? Land is so hard, so the soil is so hard. So if you need to undertake production, if you need to go for farming, you have to till it, right? So for that you need some tools, and the other person is having it, so you have to enter into relation. This is what relations of production. Also, to undertake production, you need certain tools, techniques, equipments, etc. For example, in this case, tractor. Okay, so this is what we call as relations of production. I'm just writing ROP, and this is what you call as basically forces of production. You need forces in terms of tools, techniques, etc. So Marx basically talking about relations of production and forces of production. So let me write here, relations of production and forces of production. Okay, so relations of production and force of production. I'll try to explain it briefly, and then when I explain PDF, I'll explain it more in detail, sentence to sentence, word by word. I'll explain. I'm not leaving anything for chances and thinkers. So I've promised you already, thinkers we will cover in the best possible way, and we will do that. Okay, so, and I'm expecting that you won't miss any questions from thinkers. See, don't take these things as arrogance. Okay, I have seen many people commenting that arrogant and I won't smile, etc. I'm not here to smile. I'm not here to crack jokes, right? This is not arrogance. This is my confidence, and exactly the same confidence is what I'm passing on to you. See, here we are talking about relations of production. We are talking about forces of production. So two keywords you understood, and now onwards we'll mark it as ROP and FOP. Clear? Okay, so here relations of production and force of production. Now we will explain it further. When we talk about relations of production, this is of two types. Relation between man and man, one. Relation between man and thing. So let me write here, man and man and man and thing. So relation between man and man is the living relation. Living parts, living part, okay, living relation. Relation between man and thing is living and non-living. Relation between man and man means, let's suppose this is a production process between us, okay. It's like it's a service which is provided, right? So it's actually a production process. Anything which is addition of value, if any value addition is a production process. So this is actually a service. So this is a production process. So relation between you and me is here man and man. Okay, or in a capitalist society, in a factory, if you take the context of a factory, relation between the worker and capitalist, or the manager, a clerk, etc. All these relations is what you call as relation between man and man. What do you mean by relation between man and thing? In a factory, if you see, it is related to ownership and non-ownership. In a factory, if you see the machines, the capitalist is having ownership relation and worker is having non-ownership. For example, here I am using this one. Okay, this is related to thing, man and thing. So with me, ownership relation is there. With you, non-ownership relation is there. Exactly in the same way, when we talk about capitalist system, with respect to factory, capitalist owns the factory, whereas worker does not own the factory. So one relation is ownership, the other is non-ownership. So this, I hope you understood. Relations of production, two types. Similarly, forces of production, when we talk about two types, living and non-living. Okay, so living means labor force. To undertake production, labor force is required, and labor force involves the worker as well as entrepreneur, both include. Okay, so here living means labor force, non-living means the tools, techniques, equipments, etc. which is required. So tools, etc. So this is non-living, and this is what Marx terms as means of production. Means of production. Okay, so forces of production, living and non-living. Living is the labor force, non-living means tools, techniques, etc. That's what the means of production. So what do you mean by means of production? The non-living part of forces of production is what? Means of production. So I hope this much is understood. We have talked about production. In order to undertake production, man have to enter into relation, so relation of production, and tools and techniques is required, that is forces of production. Relation of production is divided into, or you can see in two ways, man and man, man and thing, and forces of production, living, non-living. So that's it. Okay, now this is how production, based on this only, relation and forces is required to undertake production. Now, when the forces of production changes, the relations of production will also change, and vice versa. For example, in this case, when we have explained here, this farmer, let's suppose earlier there was another person, Y. He is using a traditional technique to till the land like bullock. Okay, so earlier this person having relation with this person, but now this person got a tractor, so that is better and more productive, and better tilling will happen. So this relation now will change. F won't depend on, the farmer won't depend on Y, rather he will shift to this X. So what happened? Forces of production changed in terms of, tools, techniques, etc. So automatically what happened? Relations of production will be changed. Okay, otherwise he should have improved his forces. Here that is not happening, so you will obviously shift, right? So obviously you will shift to better teachers. Exactly the same way here also. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when the forces of production changes, the relations of production also change, and vice versa. So there is no need to have any confusion. So production is all related to FOP and ROP. But when the production acquires a complex form, more and more production, that is made possible also due to a lot of other complex factors, not only FOP and ROP. Those complex factors are existing in society, like in terms of religion, family, education, culture, etc. So all these are also playing a part in the production. Okay, so this is what Marx calls as economic infrastructure. This is a core economic infrastructure, and these elements are what Marx calls as social superstructure. Okay, so this is the core economic infrastructure, then social superstructure. Together the whole production process is possible, and together is what Marx understood as society. So society comprises of economic infrastructure, which is nothing but forces of production and relation of production. Apart from that, some peripheral elements which is also helping in the production process, like religion, family, etc. that is social superstructure, economic infrastructure and social superstructure together Marx understood as society. So Marx uses different terms for society, social formation, mode of production, all represent society. Okay, so that's about his idea about society. Now, one more concept that I want to tell you is related to his idea about individual. One thing I have told you, man is a dissatisfied animal. Then he is talking about a concept, being and social being. Being and social being. This being is the original nature of a man, what you really are. Okay, irrespective of your job, okay, irrespective of your position in the production process. This is the real you, and this being is always a dissatisfied person. Okay, social being is what you are in society. Like I'm a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer or a civil servant. Okay, all these, the worker, the manager, the clerk, all these are social being. So social being means your position in the production process, your position in the process of production. It could be doctor, it could be lawyer, it could be engineer, it could be a teacher, it could be anything. So when we talk about social being, that is the position in the production process. So you will be known in that way. Okay, being what you really are. So I hope you understood this. Being is a creative humanism. He is having any creativity, he can create anything. Okay, so I hope you understood. This is about the conception about society and individual. Now we will move to PDF. Okay, so basically when I explain the PDF, I'll explain word to word so that you can avoid any confusion. So understand this part. This is the most important part. If you understood this, nobody can beat you. You understood Marx. Okay, all the theories are going to be very simple if you have clear-cut idea about Marx conception about society and individual. Everything else will be easy. Okay, and the best possible explanation is what I've done, and you don't want to read anything for this particular topic once you understood this. And if you didn't understood, watch it again, because if you are not able to understand here, you will not understand anywhere else. Simple. Okay, so let's move to the PDF. Marx says, in order to survive, man must produce. So Marx says, in order to survive, man must produce. This is the starting statement, okay? And according to Marx, production of material life is the first historical act in the history of human civilization, and it is also the starting point of history or the society, okay? So there is no need to have any confusion here. The production is essential for survival of human beings. It is a fundamental condition of history, as this act is never ending and follows an evolutionary path. Underlying this necessity of production, Marx also holds some specific assumption about individual. For him, human beings generate needs. Okay, man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. When the basic needs are met, he will create new needs. This initiates the beginning of a constant struggle between man and nature. Okay, so the struggle between man and nature. This struggle is reflected in terms of continuous development in the nature of production or in the way man produces things. So in order to produce, man must enter into relation with others. I have told you this. Man must organize for undertaking production. According to Marx, the organization of production varies from era to era, means time to time. Like ancient society and feudal society, it was different. Feudal society and capitalist society, the organization is different. And it will be different in socialism and communism according to Marx, although it will never come into practice. And society to society. Between regions like India and US, it will be different. India and Europe, it will be different. US and Europe, it will be different, like that, okay? Of course, nature imposes limitations on the organization of production, but it does not completely determine it. Why? Man has the capability to control over nature. Thus, the relations are essential for production to take place. Further, man also requires tools, techniques, equipments, etc. for the production to take place. Thus, production involves two components: relations of production and forces of production. So, relations of production, relation between man and man, relation between man and things, living and non-living. Relation between man and man, you can see the example. Relation between man and man involves relationship between people engaged in the production process. In a modern factory, the positions like manager, supervisor, worker are the examples of man and man relation. Okay, relation between man and things. On the other hand, the relation between man and things are based on ownership and non-ownership. Okay, so in case of factory, and capitalist owns the factory, whereas worker don't have ownership. So one is ownership relation, the other is non-ownership. According to Marx, production has to be managed, and the different relations of production symbolize different forms of management. The relationship between people in the existing societies is conceptualized as antagonistic cooperation. Very important word here. Antagonistic cooperation means cooperation of the opposites. See, for example, when we talk about capitalists and workers, they are the opposites. Their interests are entirely contradictory. Their interests are poles apart. Okay, like the workers want to work for less number of hours, more wages, and better working conditions. On the other hand, when you talk about capitalists, they want the workers to work more number of hours with less wages and not much better working condition because it's expensive. So the interest of both of these categories are polar opposites, contradictory, entirely different, but still they cooperate, right? And that's what antagonistic cooperation. Okay, so okay, now forces of production also involves two: man, living part, and things, right? Living and non-living. So that is labor force, which involves entrepreneur as well as the worker, living and non-living. So non-living means means of production. I've told you this, you can just read it out, okay? Man include human beings whose effort result in production, both entrepreneur and the labor. Things include various means of production like tools, techniques, equipments, etc. The development of these factors of production represents man's control over nature. The force of production are used to transform the nature into use value or exchange value. I'll explain this point. Use value means having some use. Exchange value means you can sell it. Okay, so for example, let's suppose this is your land. Okay, so soil is there. When soil is there, soil have no value. Okay, so when you convert the soil into a brick, okay, you can sell it. And to convert this, the forces of production are used, right? The forces of production are used to transform nature into exchange value or use value. Now you can use this and you get an exchange value also for this. So FOP is used actually, okay? So nature you converted to a exchange value. You can sell this now in the market. I hope you understood, okay? So this is what you mean by conversion of nature to exchange value or use value. According to Marx, there is a close relation between forces of production and relation of production. The relation of production changes with the forces of production and vice versa. I have told you in the case of farmer, right? Example. There is a constant interplay between these two. According to Marx, as the production acquires complex form, it is made possible not only because of particular relations and forces, but it also a result of number of complex operations of number of factors present in society. Like I've told you, schools, the educational institutions, religion, family, culture, all these, okay? Thus, the influence of production is not only limited to producing things only, but it also creates other conditions in society which makes the production possible. Okay. Thus, according to Marx, a complex interplay between FOP and ROP result into a particular social formation, means society, which owes its existence in the production process. This forms the basis of systemic view of Marx. So this is a systemic view of Marx. What is that? FOP, ROP. What is this? This is the economic infrastructure. And then you have this social superstructure. So together you have society. So this is a systemic view actually. Okay. And this forms the basis of system. It was actually a mains question. Okay. A systemic view of society according to Marx. For him, society can be conceptualized as a system consisting of economic infrastructure and superstructure like this. So this is society. Okay, this is a systemic view of society which is given by Fletcher. Marx idea, put it in this diagram. So superstructure, which involves family, religion, culture, law, education, etc. You can put it open-ended. So many other things can come here. Economic infrastructure, which involves FOP and ROP. You can write there FOP and ROP. Okay, so this is a systemic view. Marx uses different terms for society in different texts. Social formation, mode of production, all are society. As the economic infrastructure changes, the superstructure also changes. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. I'll explain this point. What they're saying is, if this changes, economic infrastructure changes, superstructure also changes. For example, in capitalism, there is a specific type of ROP and FOP. That's what economic infrastructure. So in capitalism, the suitable education system, the suitable religion, the suitable family, the suitable culture will be created. By whom? That's what. It is shaped by economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure. So all these are actually created by the system. The capitalists are creating this. According to Marx, it's like that. See, what is the role of religion? Role of religion is opiating the masses. According to Marx, religion is the heart of heartless world, soul of soulless condition, and opium of mass. It opiating the masses. Because of religion only, people are ready to face exploitation here. Because what religion preach, it is actually created by the capitalist only, the false notion which is propagated that you suffer maximum in this world, you'll get heaven in the next world. So people are ready to work now. People are ready to face exploitation. Okay. Secondly, when you talk about family, family is also created by capitalists to suit their interest. Because of family only, workers are going for work and they are ready to get exploited. Otherwise, if they are exploiting, if they are alone, if no family, now you have to take the burden of the family. You may be the breadwinner. So you have to support the family. You are going and facing all this exploitation. Education system that produce the labors which is required for capitalism. Constitution, when you talk from Marxian point of view, it's a document of bourgeois. Okay, parliament, when you talk about, it's an executive committee of bourgeois. So this is how he is trying to understand all the systems in the capitalist society. Okay, so basically all these are superstructural elements. So what I'm saying is superstructure is actually created by the economic infrastructure. Okay, so capitalism, there is a specific economic infrastructure to support that superstructural elements are created. So who create these elements? Economic infrastructure. Why? Because this will help in the functioning of superstructure. That's what written here. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. Thus, the total organization of society according to Marx is based on nature of production. You can see that in the diagram, you will understand it here. Okay, so you see here, economic infrastructure shapes superstructure, which include education, religion, family, culture, law, etc. everything. Why? Because this will help in the functioning. Religion will help in the functioning of capitalism. Family, education, government, constitution, everything is actually supporting this. Okay. Now, apart from this, apart from developing a linkage between production and society, Marx also examines the influence of production on individual consciousness. Practically, individual consciousness falls within the domain of superstructure. What do you mean by that? Individual consciousness will be related to the education, culture, family, religion, etc. Right? You think so? Individual consciousness is part of superstructure. But superstructure is created by what? Economic infrastructure. So ultimately, individual consciousness will depend on what? Capitalist system, in capitalist society, or economic infrastructure. Okay? So individual consciousness is actually decided by economic infrastructure. Means production process or the position in the production process. The way you think will depend on your position in the production process. Manager, clerk, they think differently, depends on the position in the production process. Simple, that's it. So the consciousness of an individual is influenced by a person's position in the production process. To further clarify the idea of consciousness, Marx distinguishes between being and social being. Being is the basic nature of man, independent of his existence. According to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. Further, Marx's conception of being is a creative humanism. He is able to make anything. Creativity is essential for his nature. Social being refers to the existence of individual in society, your roles. These social being is one's place in the production process and is defined by the nature of activity performed by an individual. For example, the term workers, managers, etc. denote social being. Thus, according to Marx, individual consciousness in society is determined by one's own social being rather than being. Now what you can do is you can try attempting this question, concept about individual and society. Write about individual, being, social being, dissatisfied animal, etc. Write about society in terms of production, relations, forces, relations of production, force of production, two types in both cases. Then you talk about economic infrastructure, superstructure, and the systemic view of society. So with this you will be able to, you will be in a position to write a very good answer in this question. Apart from that, this is what we are going to use in all the Marxian theories. Now still, I am expecting that you will not have any doubts. If still you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here. That's my Instagram ID. Okay. or you can join the Telegram channel. You get all my videos over there. Not only sociology, economy is there, history is there, ethics is there, quantitative aptitude is there. All I have done, all my videos are available in the Telegram channel. There's the ID Zia Safir, or you can connect to me in Facebook also in the same ID, or Zia IAS. Okay, this is my channel, this is my Facebook page. Okay, or if you wish to talk to me, or if you want to write a test series with me, if you wish to talk to me for mentorship program or guidance or test series or regular classes. Okay, online class anyway is available in StudyIQ. Apart from that, if you need live classes or any other help, you can directly call me. This is my number 9790-892-697 or 98955-77775. So you can get in touch with me in any of these platforms. Okay, so see you guys. Thank you. So that's about the session. I hope you understood everything that we have discussed today. If you have any doubt in any of the videos that we have discussed so far, you can get in touch with me here. That's my Instagram ID. Okay, or you can join the Telegram channel. You will get all my videos over there. Everything is there. Or you can see here, this is a Telegram channel, or this is the Instagram ID. These two are my Facebook page. You can get in touch with me in any of this. If you want to learn economy with me or history with me or general studies, any subjects, you can, if you need regular classes, you can get in touch with me, or the online classes are available with StudyIQ. You will get all those classes. Still, you will get my YouTube videos in this Telegram channel. Okay, so I hope you understood everything that we have discussed. So see you guys.